It's great to meet everybody. Like Carl said, my name is Sam, and I'm co-founder with Andrew Wake of the Net Menders Alliance. Everybody should be able to see my PowerPoint now.
Yep.
There's a nice cityscape of Ottawa. So yes, the Net Menders Alliance. Just a bit about us. The alliance was founded or grew from a conversation between Andrew and myself about how to best support the IT needs of organizations like your own. We grew up providing technical support to our churches as well as various not-for-profit organizations. You all are familiar with Andrew's dad, of course, being Carl. My parents were missionaries in Quebec, planting a church in the Laurentian region. And they continue in their ministry there, as well as in a French religious literature ministry as well. But enough about them. For Net Menders, we've come to realize that many of these organizations will struggle to disciple technology volunteers. And this is often because the staff and leadership are focused on the mission's message, while the volunteers must focus on the mission's method. They depend on technology to broadcast their message, and they therefore rely on their technology volunteers to keep those nets mended. And the illusion for mending nets, I think everybody probably has that concept where Jesus found his disciples mending their nets, and they certainly couldn't catch any fish without mended nets. And so they were very aware of that when he said that they would be fishers of men. And so as our organizations continue to be fishers of men, it's important, we find, to keep those nets mended and to be responsible with the resources and the technology that we're using. So we've observed that many of these organizations have staff or volunteers who are technically proficient, but are being asked to perform IT-related tasks that are beyond their training and experience. Or conversely, they have the requisite experience and are looking to use it on a greater scale to support their community. So sometimes we found that organizations will have very astute technology-minded folks whose skills and expertise can be used elsewhere, and they're not necessarily aware or able to branch out to assist other organizations. And so that's part of what the Alliance does, is we connect those skilled persons with other organizations that have technology needs. And there are measurable benefits to empowering these professionals with technical resources. So we also invite them to join our Alliance as Net Menders and connect them to others who share their calling, as well as offering personal discipleship and mentorship experiences. So we're growing our repertoire of resources in terms of discipleship, but also in terms of technical resources. And so as the Alliance grows, as our members continue to connect and to grow together, we should hopefully be able to mend even more nets of other organizations as well. So a little bit about some of the issues that we've seen. Many times when organizations are coming to us, it's actually very difficult for them to see and resolve root causes of the issues that they're dealing with when the issues are handled in isolation. So if you're suddenly realizing that there's a specific issue where folks can't connect to your Wi-Fi, or there's a printer that should be available, but it's not, a simple solution might be to replace the printer or change how people are connecting to it. However, organizations may not have the full perspective of how their technology issues are impacting other areas of the organization. So it may be that there's actually issues with the Wi-Fi configuration that's preventing the printer from being accessed, for example. But this can often lead organizations to lack objectivity in their implementations of solutions, which are not nearly as stable or effective as they believe them to be. So we've seen organizations that have thrown good money after bad, trying to solve a problem when the solution was either very simple or the root cause was something innocuous and completely different from what they were expecting or what they were thinking that issue would be. So where Net Menders Alliance tries to resolve that is that we look to partner with those organizations as well as their technical staff and volunteers. Uh, Andrew and I both have expansive industry knowledge that allows us to find robust solutions that take every variable into account. And we hope to share that kind of knowledge with the technology volunteers as well, so that they can also grow. That's part of the discipleship that we do. We also connect organizations and alliance members to effectively crowdsource solutions based on each member's areas of expertise, where we have some folks, for instance, who are more well-versed in audiovisual systems for churches, and we would rely on them to help churches who are having issues with those specific areas. But part of that as well is using those members as their time allows to develop and provide resources to other members for continued growth and development, so that we can all grow, we can all be discipled, and we can we can help our organizations as a team. So part of the Net Menders Alliance strategy was to provide services to organizations. In some cases, those services require costs. For the most part, we try to minimize those costs, but there are some things where there's costs involved, and the reality is that while it's not something that it's not our day job, it's something that we have to find solutions for some organizations. Now, those solutions aren't always through Net Menders. Sometimes we're just called on to vet quotes or to confirm that something that's been quoted by another organization or another company has met the needs or will continue to meet the needs and has considered all of the issues that are at hand. So Net Menders Solutions is a sister company, and it allows us to offer practical support that's ongoing, which normally can be expensive for an organization that's operating on a limited or donation-based budget. And for many organizations, technological stability is only available at a premium and therefore remains elusive. We've found in lots of organizations that they avoid making technology purchases to keep their technology up to date and running smoothly, simply because the technology or the services that are available are remarkably expensive, because they're obliged potentially to purchase enterprise level solutions for an enterprise that's donation based. So we develop proactive solutions that enable organizations to take advantage of not-for-profit pricing in the tech industry. And there's actually quite a bit of not-for-profit pricing available. Some of you may be aware of some of those. Some of you may be aware of many of those kinds of supports. But we work to make sure that everything that's coming in as a solution, whether it's specifically through Net Menders or if it's through another party, that the pricing is respectful of the budgets that you have and the solutions that you actually need. So if you wanted to find out more, we do have our website at netmenders.org, and I'll leave this up for a bit. If anybody has any questions, I can take a few questions.
I have a question.
Yes.
Is this a part-time thing, or how are you financed?
So the Alliance is not financed per se. There's some very light costs that we're financing, mostly from a personal standpoint, in terms of the resources that we're hosting, or the meetings that we take. Most of it is just done on our own time as an aside from our day jobs. So Andrew, for instance, right now is working his day job, and I'm working my parenting job.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Any other questions for Sam?
Sam, are you, in the case of some of our churches, do you currently have, like, you talk kind of like about members or the alliance itself? Are you looking for churches to connect with the alliance, both from a needs perspective and a support perspective?
In terms of financial support, no. Prayer support is certainly welcome, but predominantly we're looking to partner with churches from a needs perspective, where if they have a need, we'd like to partner with churches or not-for-profit organizations. And from a personal perspective, part of the alliance is also taking on some of the role of discipling the technology volunteers or staff that you may have, that most organizations aren't necessarily equipped to do on a technical level. So where it's possible, for instance, for a church to have a lot of focus on discipling for evangelism and for family ministry and things like that, we've found through our own lived experiences and through the experiences of organizations we've partnered with that it can be a challenge for the technology teams to find their actual skill set, their callings being mentored to. And that's not to attack the leadership of those organizations. It's just the reality that those people have a calling that's very relevant, but is also very different in terms of how it's exercised.
Right. I was thinking in terms of like some of our larger churches who might have the financial resources and the IT experience, say in live streaming,
Mhm.
where a smaller church, would like to do it, but do you connect those dots? Are you looking for churches like of that kind of scale to support other churches, kind of thing?
So that is actually something that we've discussed as founders, where if a larger church, for instance, has technology that they've moved on from, we can assist by using that technology to
Right.
do things in smaller churches where it still works. It's just not meeting the needs of a larger congregation, things
Mhm.
like that. But also, if a church wants to financially sponsor network upgrades at another church, for instance, then
Right.
that can greatly alleviate a lot of the pressures that those smaller churches face. So, for instance, let's say that a church says, "Hey, we've got issues streaming, and we're not sure what it is." Well, Net Menders, we go in, we do a network health check, we check to see what's going on with their network, and provided they've got a decent internet connection, the issue usually will fall to the network hardware not being powerful enough to do what they need it to do. And so we may find decent pricing, but that pricing can still be several thousands of dollars that they did not have in their budget. And so that's something where, at the very least, they come away from that knowing what the costs are
Mhm.
in terms of fixing or solving their issue. Um, they may decide, hey, we're going to do uh, a drive to let people in our congregation know what's going on and why we need these funds. Um, but that's definitely something where, if there are other larger churches that are interested in offering that kind of support to smaller congregations, we can certainly partner with them on, I would say, almost anonymous, at least, unless they prefer to be um, announced as the donor. It doesn't need to be direct connection, but it can be. We have no issue either way.
I need to jump in and move us along, Sam and Wayne.
Sure.
Sorry to cut you off there, Wayne. I I know that Bob Logan needs to leave soon, and Maxime, my student, has to head off to class soon. So I want to make sure we have time. If you want to contact Sam at netmenders.org, they're more than willing to talk more on this. I just felt it was important for you to know that there are resources out there that can help you. And I thank you very much for your time this morning, Sam. And you withdraw from the call anytime you need to take care of Tobias or Raphael, okay?
Will do. And I'll just send my email address to everyone in the chat. And then if I need to bow out, everyone will have it.
Thanks so much. It's also going to be in the minutes or the notes from the meeting that will be sent out later this week. So we're
Perfect.
good. Okay, thank you.
All right. Thanks for having me, Carl.